Hi, this is Sierra Lopez. I'm doing my teaching reflection for EDU 607 for my third lesson. Um, I will start with I coded a lot. I love to go back and watch my teaching videos. It's super informative, and I can definitely see where I need to work on things. I'm going to kind of go out of order because I added my comments into here, and I just last time made notes, and they were I forgot to write them on here. I just made the notes, so I want to make sure that I hit all the bases. So at 6 minutes 32 seconds is where the lesson is extremely culturally relevant. I had my students pair share, and they were pair sharing a time whenever they heard someone say something that they didn't literally mean, but it was figurative language. And I thought this was very culturally relevant because I have some students who do not speak English, and I thought it was interesting. Maybe they could enlighten us on some figurative language that maybe wouldn't translate into English as well. But this works to engage students because they're able to activate their prior knowledge on it and share their own experiences. And who doesn't like to do that? And then at 7:06 is where you can see one of my strengths, and that is where the pair share begins. I love to do pair shares, and I try to incorporate that as much as possible. I've just always been taught that when a student is able to teach other students, then they are at the highest level of learning at that point, and that's so important. And I think peer-to-peer learning is amazing. And then at 8:08, this is another strength. Oh, I'm sorry. This is another strength, and that is my attention signal. So I have a doorbell, and then I also use some whole brain techniques, and that's where I'll say class or my reading class, and they have to respond with a yes. So they would say yes, or they would respond, whatever I say, they reply with yes in place of class. If I said my reading class, they would say my reading yes. So it works very well. We've practiced it so much, and we use it every single day. So if they're chit chatty or sometimes it can get kind of crazy, especially after lunch. If I do that, then they snap right back into it. At 8:48, you can see one of my weaknesses. And that's where I feel like I do a great job having higher order questions, but I don't allow the students enough time to really process what the answer would be. And sometimes when I don't feel like I'm getting the right answer, or sometimes I don't even give them enough time to answer before I probe them a little bit too much, and then eventually just give the answer. And I don't know why I do that, but I noticed it a lot in this particular lesson, and I didn't realize I was doing it. So that's another reason why I like to record myself. But that is definitely a weakness that I need to work on. And then a couple minutes afterwards is where I got into my very good habit. And that is where I give just general feedback of saying very good. And I say it a lot. I'm like the queen of very good. So I'm working really hard on my feedback. I'm trying to figure out some ways that I can give myself some reminders, because I think I get into a habit of it. And when I'm teaching, it's just hard to remember. And I want to be more specific, and I want to be more intentional with my feedback, so that even if it's positive or negative, they know what I like that they're doing, and they know maybe what they need to fix. At 26:48, I did provide some differentiation, and so my groups are working together. These groups have been divided prior to the lesson. I have a marker board that has all their groups so that they know where to sit and what to do. And I have them ability grouped. So the figurative language that they were all assigned is differentiated as far as their ability level. Additionally, I went back over essential question a few times. Positive learning environment is also one of my strengths. I feel like it's very positive in there most of the time. I did have a few instances where I had to use some classroom management and kind of like regroup, because we do talk a lot, which I love, but fourth graders can get a little too much sometimes. So I just went into my goal. And so my goal for the last lessons were to improve my pacing and my feedback. These are my two weakest traits or whatever in my lesson. And I feel like I met my goal for pacing. Usually at the end of my lesson, I'm like, okay, here's the closer, bye, see you tomorrow, but I felt like I could really take my time for this one. I wasn't rushed at the end to try to get everything out in the lesson, but my feedback was not great. And that is going to continue to stay my goal. I really want to just be more specific and provide more effective feedback, whether that be to an individual student or even my whole group. And if there was one thing that I could change in the video, or if not in the video, but in my lesson, I would not have played the Brain Pop video. I don't feel like it was very effective. Prior watching it, I thought that my students would have been more engaged with it, but I felt like it kind of bored them. And I felt like just saying it was a piece of cake at the end was more effective than the whole video in itself. So the time that we spent watching that video, and it took me a little bit too long to try to get it set up, but that was just a technical difficulty that we had to just roll with, would have been more effective if I had used it differently. So there were some things that went well. There were some things that I still need to improve on, but I'm learning every time, and I enjoy going back and really analyzing all of this through video, because in the act of teaching, I don't feel like we realize everything that we do. And so the videos really help us to reflect on how well we teach and how the students are responding, because we're not able to watch every single one of them. And during this video, I saw a few of them where I was super excited to see how engaged they were with it. So that did make me happy. All right. Well, I will see you in class.